All right, we wanted to talk through a couple things going on with SOLs, and Melinda and I have a specific example, but we also asked Sherman to be here tonight in case there was anything in particular that he wanted to share. Basically, we just wanted to make sure that we've done the best job we possibly can telling you all about all the changes that are going on at the state level for the next cycle of accreditation and evaluation of schools. And that is something that we don't know all the ins and outs about yet. We have a meeting, I believe, later this week where we should know a little bit more. We have some information that we were able to locate on the Department of Education's website to give to you. We have that invitation out to you all to come in and chat about those changes because we really do think they require a little bit of a deep dive because they are pretty complicated. We're finding them quite complicated. So we want to do a really good job by that with you all. And then we wanted to talk just briefly about a note. One of our schools is a really good example of some of the current challenges and some of the current benefits of the current evaluation system. Sherman, before we do that, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, just it can be confusing. They're going from one thing to another. They're trying to align what the state has typically done to what the feds have typically looked for, which have been pretty far apart and pretty ambiguous as far as how each one relates to the other. So I think the state's trying to do the right thing. I just think they tried to roll it out too fast along with other things. So we're playing catch up and still trying to find out exactly what we're going to look like come October.
And we wish we had what we call better predictions. We did bring in a copy of Allegany's most recent accreditation detail report because it's a really good example of some things. Alleghany improved in all but one area this past year. And the place they have failed to actually improve, it's like a half a percentage point or a percentage point difference, so it's really not all that significant of a change. So we were really, really proud of the hard work that Alleghany did. And you see their accreditation detail report coming around, and I like to call this a stoplight report because the idea is green is good, yellow is something about which the state has some level of concern, red is something, oh my goodness, everyone wants to focus on. So as we look at this report, there's two things that for Melinda and I kind of stand out in an interesting way, and they kind of show you what we're talking about when we're talking about the fact that the accreditation system is not always as clear as the state would like it to be. The first is that you see those English marks at the top that are showing up bright green, right? And we really like that. It's good to see green, okay? But we know professionally we would like our students to make even more progress than they're currently making in writing. So for us, that's still an area of focus, and we think that's legitimate professionally, right? Then look down at the bottom, College Career and Civic Readiness Index. We are yellow in that category. Most people around the state will tell you that it's very difficult to understand how that is calculated. We would say we should be bright green there, right? We would almost reverse the two things in our minds. That we do a nice job by our students, a very nice job by our students in preparing them for their future opportunities, career technical education, all those kinds of good things that you all put so much good energy behind. To us, that's a real shining strength of our school division, and we don't think we're in error there. We'd also, again, we'd say we'd like for our writing scores to be higher, and it's great that the state doesn't need them to be higher, but we would like for them to be higher. So it's just a good example of how sometimes it takes that on-the-ground input, so to speak. And one of the reasons we wanted to have that conversation with you all tonight is that we believe that will continue to be a little bit prominent for us in the next couple of years as we adjust to the consolidation. Because we do still see some things that are just a little fluky in our data as we pull together all the students. That's particularly true at the secondary level.
So what did they use to judge on that career, college, and civic readiness?
Excellent question. We know there are some things that are definitely going into the equation, but it's very difficult to understand how they go into the equation. So it's everything from completer series courses, like so if students have taken enough courses in a sequence in CTE to be a completer, to service learning, different forms of work-based learning that students have completed, whether or not students have completed AP classes or dual enrollment classes. Lots of factors are going into that metric. And I don't know that we know anyone who can really describe exactly how it's calculated. Sherman, do you know? know.
I mean, are you talking about like back in the day, what did they use to judge
Well,
it?
I'm just curious, like some of that like local choice, like if we were to decide,
No.
this is what we feel like is needed for a child to be ready
No,
for.
it's all mandated. And I think the main thing back in the day was how many completers did you have? That was,
We wish that, to your point, I think that would be a really helpful metric. It's a little bit of a black box. Is that fair?
And I think we've done some digging into our data to see if we've missed something or they don't have everything. And I don't feel like we feel that we've not done and checked all the boxes. It's just how they compute that index. I know Mr. Ross has spent a lot of time looking into that. And we know how important that is to our school profile.
And we feel like it's something our staff's done really well with. So we want them to get that credit, right? But we pull that out just to help you know that that's kind of an example of what the state board is trying to fix. Sherman was just talking about that, like about how the state is trying to better align its accreditation system with the federal government, which could be really helpful, but it's a lot of change at once, and we're not completely comfortable telling you it's going to come out being more transparent. It's still difficult to understand. We will know a little bit more later in the week, but exactly how helpful that information is remains to be seen too.
I mean, the federal indicators had stuff all the way up through 2030. I mean, we should be in 80s, 85% for like reading and math based on last year's data, and the state of Virginia is still stuck on 70, 75, and 70. So, but they approve it. They approve the state plan, and I'm sure that they're shooting for the stars, but our goal is still to meet those benchmarks of 75% in reading, 70 in math and English, the absenteeism, graduation completion.
And when we talk about areas of success, we still talk about that little short memo we gave you, like we're still focusing on those. We think we're right on with that. We were very excited about elementary reading. We've been more excited than we expected to be about elementary math, so that's a great indicator. Elementary attendance is clearly moving in the right direction. We would still like to see our students hitting more targets in writing, even though the state appears to be relatively content with our progress. We would like that. We also think that secondary attendance is challenging for our students. So once kids hit that 6th grade mark, coming to school regularly, some of that probably is still pandemic habits, if you will. I mean, you think about it, the kids who were in 5th grade when the pandemic started are 10th graders now. So that's kind of a way to kind of balance that. Some of that's still playing in there, but fixing those habits is important for us.
How far are we off on the science and the absenteeism?
For Alleghany High School.
I guess it's for Alleghany and this one.
That's for Alleghany.
Yeah, something different for each one of them.
Okay, but what about Alleghany? Is this just Alleghany?
That is just
This
Alleghany.
High school.
We wanted to pull it out as an
Right,
example.
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Attendance has a good ways to continue to improve.
So where are we at and what's our benchmark? Where are we looking to go?
Did you have?
I don't have
I don't have the file.
Did we give this out during the last board meeting?
I think we did. Hang on.
The detailed report? Their attendance at the attendance at middle school has a long ways to go. The attendance at 12 elementary schools has a little ways to go. Let's see. Yeah, there's 39% chronic absenteeism.
Alleghany is?
Mhm.
And what is
For
our
it to
goal?
be in the yellow, it's got to be 25%. For it to be in the green, it's got to be below 15%. Science is supposed to be 70%.
What do we?
You can go, the DOE website has the numbers that go with this.
For the high school is 62%, and we were 58% previous year. So gaining, but yeah, we have some work to do with 2 of the larger elementary schools in English, but we're close. The middle school has work to do in all 3 cores, as well as attendance.
There are just a lot of charts out there for you all. And that's part of the reason we wanted to, we know it's difficult to digest all the information. There are these charts that you all have from your previous meetings and whatnot. Then you have this new system coming out that we have a handout for you on, and that we'd love to see you come in and talk with us about, because we think we can give you some more detailed information that might help you know what to expect. I think in general, the way they're modeling this, a lot of schools are going to be identified as having some different places to go forward around the whole entire state. We're expecting that, but we don't know that yet. So we need to get that information later this week. So you have lots of different types of reports to look at, and we absolutely agree it's confusing.
Do you have anything on this college career and civic readiness index?
More than what's on this sheet?
This may be a little out there, but each high school senior needs to have a path of some sort, or do they share? Does anybody talk to our college or our seniors about what they're doing? Mm-hmm. Is it college? Is it some kind of technical, vocational thing? Is it military, or do they have a job? Everybody should have that. I mean, I'm speaking from a perspective of maybe a parent, but I want to say years ago that was the focal point, that there was a plan of some sort.
That is an amazing.
Other than not to do anything.
Yes.
And I think a lot of our young people in this area, that is their option. And what are we doing? And some people may say that's something for families to do, but there should be some sort of guide. Do we do aptitude kind of things to?
We do an academic and career plan starting in 8th grade, started in 7th grade, and the school counselors update that every school year and do advise our students on what might be their good options. So yes, that is all part of what we're required to do, is to have those conversations with children. And I believe the parent still has to sign off on that when they first start that plan. So it is something that we do complete.
Through the guidance department?
School counselors, yes.
But very much to your point, there's a lot of great resources in our school division because you all have invested in those to help kids along that path. So that is everything from the partnership we have with the University of Virginia and their college advisors, to TRIO at the community college, to the AHA program, to JRTC, to all sorts of different things that are going on there. So it's a lot of trying to get kids to engage, but we agree with you. We think it's something that we want to do, and we actually think it's something that is a relative strength in the school division, especially as a division our size. It's unusual to see the amount of programs that are available for kids. It is just really difficult to understand how they compute the CCCRI. It's a little bit of a mouthful.
And I would think there's a possibility that some of those numbers there reflect bad is that someone goes to JRTC, thinks they want to do auto.
Sure.
And then after they get there, like, I really don't like this, I want to do welding.
Sure.
And then they don't ever complete the program because they don't have enough years left. So that could be throwing some numbers askew, but that's probably a small percentage of those.
Probably so, but I think if Dwayne was here, he'd also point out that there are different benchmarks within career technical education that we really try to meet because we want to do that. But we're just not, we want to make sure we never force a child to make a choice that's uncomfortable for them simply because it would be good for numbers. That's not who we are, right? So if that child is, you know, hey, I do not want to do auto tech anymore, I want to do welding, right? Or I want to make some other choice, we're going to try to support the kid. As long as it's something that makes sense for them, we try to make it happen in a kid-centered way.
And if someone starts the program late, that they need to know that they can continue that somewhere else if they have switched to that.
We offer it here. There's a handful of students, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know Jacob, I think, has told me this, and talking with also Josh Kraft, that we have a couple students that have graduated and they come back just to go to JRTC to finish their program up. It's a small number, but I would be very curious to see what percentage they are compared to the kids that did not complete it because they just graduated and went on.
That's an interesting question, and I don't know that we have hard numbers for you on that, but it is something that I think one of the takeaways here is we wanted to, as part of this conversation tonight, make sure to know that we really feel like you as a board should legitimately be very proud of the investment in those kind of opportunities that help kids transition to, I like to say, whatever's next for them. You know, as long as it's a positive whatever's next. You know, it's a job, it's other additional training, it's college, it's military, it's whatever is appropriate for the child, what the child wants to do, we want them to be able to start that well. And that is a clear and compelling strength in our school division. And it's just kind of a good example of how sometimes the state system doesn't always line up the way we might expect it to. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Want to pass out this?
Oh, yes, sorry, forgot that.
This is the new Virginia Board of Education plan to move forward with accreditation and ratings, and it's called a support framework. So take a look at it. It will be in effect with all the other changes that are coming down the road in the near future. And there are lots of webinars and resources to talk about this new support framework for school divisions. And it is based on mastery, it's based on growth, it's based on readiness, and you can see that on each page, how they're going to find us, help us know where we stand. Sherman, do you know any more about this?
No, our consortium is meeting on October 2nd to go through baseline accountability, where we stand, and look at the data across those 50-some divisions. So we'll see how we stack up compared to others as well.
One of the things that might be interesting here, just based on the recent conversation, if you look at the high school page, which is like the last page of the handout, there is a new take on what they call readiness, which is basically readiness for adulthood, right? And one of the things we like about this plan is that that's where chronic absenteeism rate is going, because that's really what that is. It's readiness for adulthood. You know, if you can consistently do something every day. And then they have this Ready for Life 3E framework, which is basically students ready for enrollment in a post-secondary option, employment, or enlistment. So the 3 E's there. And I think we're interested in learning more about that. And I don't want to say we know all about it yet, because we don't. But we're excited about that. That seems to be a little more clear than the model we have currently. And again, this is the piece that connects back to those conversations we were talking about having, where we can take you into a deeper dive on this. Because this is a whole different animal, if you will, than what we have been seeing. Is that fair, Melinda?
Yes.
Any questions on this? If not, we'll move on to legal updates.